to our good, our bad, and obviously, certainly, because it says right there in the name, the Brainless.
Yeah.
All right, well, Cousin Jay, what do you got for your good?
I have to go with the entire AEW Collision taping, Ring of Honor taping, and Battle of the Belts taping that I was at. It was a fucking awesome show. It was 4 hours, and it didn't feel like going to... I mean, there's been a couple times at Monday Night Raw where, like, the 3-hour show felt like it was 20 hours.
Right.
It breezed along. The crowd was pretty hot. The arena was like 2/3 full. It was a good crowd for Collision. It was great. And despite the fact that there were so many other great things, Hogan saving the children from burning bus, I mean, that certainly had some consideration in there. The debuts that we had with Nick Nemeth out there. The fact that WWE figured out a way to keep the show going despite a massive snowstorm in an area of the country that doesn't deal with them, and that they figured out a way to put together a Titantron on the fly in a unique way. I mean, there were a lot of great things, but the show I saw from AEW, including Tony Khan just kind of droning on and on about absolutely nothing. He must have said Tony Schiavone's name about 10 times, and I only got a couple of them on the recording that I did. But he just said, "You gotta love Tony Schiavone from Virginia." He said that like 5 times.
Subscribe!
Yeah, we cheered the first time, and then it got less and less each time he said it after. It was so good. Like, it was perfect Tony Khan. Tony Khan lived the gimmick.
Oh, big time.
But the show, it was spectacular. Like I said, the bell-to-bell stuff that they do is great. Seeing Edge, in AEW was great. Christian doing what Christian does these days to Gold Dust, a.k.a. Dustin Rhodes, was freaking great. FTR with Daniel Garcia versus, the Black. What's
House
the name
of
of it?
House of Black.
Freaking great. The Norfolk Street fight, freaking great. Orange Cassidy, freaking great. I loved it. That is my good for this week.
Okay.
Brainless One, how about you?
Come on, Jay. We've been teeing off on this poor bastard for years. I don't think I remember the last time I said a positive thing about this man. I have to get... Hey, even a blind squirrel finds a nut, and Hulk Hogan can win my Brainless for this week. I applaud the Immortal One for saving the 17-year-old girl from her after her truck had flipped over and she couldn't get out. So Hulk Hogan, I'm not going to joke about this. This is such a great story. Please, for the love of God, do not, and I repeat, do not over-exaggerate a lot when you tell this story, Hulk. Because the story itself is great and it doesn't need to get Hulk Hogan. So, Hulk, you get my good for this week.
Yeah.
What do you got for your bad?
I got to go with the injury to Seth Rollins. We were building towards what would have been a very personal and awesome grudge match between CM Punk and Seth Franklin Rollins. And now we're going to have to hold off probably until SummerSlam. And the championship is probably going to change hands. And it's going to be CM Punk as the champion going against Seth Franklin Rollins, perhaps.
Probably.
In that match. I want to see that match at some point, but it sucks that it's delayed. I wish Seth Franklin Rollins a speedy recovery from his injury.
I agree with you. My bad for this week is Seth Rollins' injury. And it's not just because of the fact that Seth got injured and it sucks. It really does. Having all, the torn meniscus, the torn MCL, you're going to be out for 9 months. Seth, it sucks because every time you're at WrestleMania, you're one of the more fun people to actually watch, and I do enjoy you in the ring. I love doing the visionary thing and all that stuff. I love the presentation. I've enjoyed Seth Rollins. He's been busting his ass, and it sucks. However, it's bad for WWE because now, less than 2 weeks before the Royal Rumble, you do not have a World Heavyweight Champion. And you're booked into a pay-per-view where it is decided that the main event is 30 guys who throw everybody over the top rope and have both feet touch the ground, which means Zach Allen would win that thing in a landslide.
Yes.
But it puts you in a predicament like, what are you going to do now? At least it's happening now and not closer to the road to WrestleMania in case you had to do a title change in like March.
Right.
So I agree. Seth Rollins' injury is my bad for this week.
Okay.
What is your brainless?
Apparently my phone right now. My brainless for this week, as much as I've given a lot of love to AEW for the show that they put on in Norfolk, Tony Khan and his brainless rant or his brainless squawking right before Collision started. I wish I could have recorded all of it and posted it. Y'all just got a little taste of it. But Tony Khan and public speaking do not go hand in hand. Tony Khan, your speech and all of that get my brainless for this week.
Well, for me, for my brainless, my favorite duo to give my brainless to are Nicholas and Matthew Jackson.
Nicholas!
That promo on Wednesday, I heard it. I wish I hadn't. I feel the same way after listening to that promo as I did about watching Kenny Omega fight his fuck doll. It was not fun. It was not entertaining, and I feel dumber after watching it. The fact that you guys are still sitting there and throwing shots at CM Punk when you guys have an NDA and Punk can't say anything, but you can sit there and still throw your shots, huh? And you talked about how you're EVPs. Dipshits, you've been EVPs for almost 5 years. What have you done? Kenny had at least the EVP title of making the video games. At least he came out with a shitty video game. It might have sucked, but at least he did something.
Right.
What did you do, Nick Mac Jackson? You got your wife a job selling merchandise, and she sucked so bad they didn't even want to bring her back. And then she had the audacity to say, it's because you guys didn't back my husbands. And you guys came out looking like a freaking... I can't even describe. You guys look like a couple of Frenchmen that came out there. You're dressed in yin and yang. You're dressed like a bunch of clowns. You look like Freddie Mercury after he like ate Prince. No, I'm sorry. You both look like Freddie Mercury after eating Vince Neil. You guys shared them. Two different freaking there you go. Two Freddie Mercurys eating Vince Neil, and that's what they look like, the Young Bucks. With your sleazy mustache, your horrible approach to cutting a promo, it was just awful. You are not, nor have you ever been a big deal in professional wrestling. You will never be a big deal in professional wrestling. You guys are the worst, the absolute worst part about professional wrestling and AEW as a whole.
The worst.
And quite frankly, you are the main reason why I do not subject myself to getting mentally abused watching this god-awful booking that is called AEW Wrestling Dynamite. I did not miss the rambling words of the rambling lunatic after he had an incredible coke binge somewhere on Hampton Boulevard. I'm certain that he made it all the way to the base before they turned him around and told him not to do that. Sure, you can't bring coke on the base and you're not, you have no clearance.
Even if you're called the Snowman.
Yeah. So, Young Bucks, that whole thing, everything since you returned after coming out like a bunch of sleazy douchebags last week, you once again get my Brainless for this week. I don't know if I did. Oh, not Tony Khan. But yeah, you guys get my Brainless this week.
Yeah.
So if you like what you see, whether you're a first-time watcher or a continuous fan, make sure you like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter X, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to us on YouTube at the letter T, the letter H, the letter E, the letter F, the letter N, M-A-R-K-S. I said it before it passed. We are the F Marks. If you like, follow, and subscribe to us, we will do the same back. That is always been our
mantra. And make sure you set up notifications so that when we go live, you will be notified that we are live. So you could join in the conversation and talk about our favorite sport that we all love to hate. Professional
New York
wrestling.
Jets.
Yeah. And before we head out of here, Chris Brown said his good for this week was the WWE ring crew doing what they do. His bad was Seth Rollins with the knee injury, and Brainless, Tony Khan for continuing to operate AEW like Donald Trump after a bowl of crack, and Kane for endorsing Trump like a fucking sellout. Huh? That sounds like a couple of Brainlesses there.
Yeah. We definitely did.
But anyway, we're also on Spotify. We're on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to all those different media outlets so you can take the show on the road with you in case you are not able to join us live.